never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Well, since it's Tuesday and week 1 in college football starts in about 48 hours, all depending on when you watch this video, I want to do one final prediction video on a college football team's 2023 season and tell you how I think their season is going to go. And as always, this is random. I really wasn't sure what team I wanted to do. And then yesterday morning, I said, you know what? I'm going to talk about that team. And the team is Duke. Now, I believe Duke has a chance to be just as good as they were last year, if not better. But the problem is their schedule is so tough that record-wise, they may not look like they've improved. But I do think they have a chance to be just as good, if not better, even though their record may not show it because of their schedule. But I'm a huge fan of their quarterback. In my personal opinion, he is the second best quarterback in the ACC right now behind Drake May at North Carolina. I believe if the NFL draft was today, Duke quarterback Riley Leonard would be a first-round draft pick. But of course, since he plays for Duke, nobody talks about him, and most folk don't know who he is. But Riley Leonard is a good quarterback. But I do think Duke is going to slip up and beat somebody this year that they have no business beating. You can decide who it'll be. But let's run down their schedule real quick. Of course, they open up in 6 nights on Labor Day night, Monday night against Clemson, and then they play Lafayette on September the 9th, Northwestern on the 16th, and Northwestern might be one of the worst 5 or worst 10 teams in the FBS this year. They're going to be flat out pitiful. Then they play UConn on the 23rd. Then they wrap up the month of September on the 30th against Notre Dame. They're off in week number 6, the very first week in October. Then on the 14th, they're back in action against NC State. Then they play Florida State on the 21st. Then they wrap up October, Halloween weekend, on the 28th against Louisville. Then they open up November on a Thursday night on the 2nd against Wake Forest. Then the 11th, they play North Carolina. The 18th, they play Virginia. Then they wrap up the regular season Thanksgiving weekend, Saturday the 25th, against Pittsburgh. Now, as I said, I think they're going to win a game somewhere they shouldn't win. Last year, They were 8-4. That's probably about what they're going to be this year, maybe 7-5. But for Duke football, 8-4, 7-5 is pretty stinking good. But since it's Duke, they still won't get talked about. But if you go 8-4 one year, and the next year you're 7-5, people think, oh, they took a step back. But that's not always the case. If Duke's schedule is tougher this year, which it is and it was last year, and they finished 7-5, it doesn't mean they got worse. It just means they played better competition. Because last year, every team they were better than, they beat, and every team they were worse than, they lost to. So 8-4 is about what they should have been, and it's where they were. I don't think they're going to beat Clemson, and I don't think they're going to beat Notre Dame, and I think it's unquestionable that they're going to beat Lafayette, Northwestern, UConn. They'll beat Louisville, they'll beat Wake Forest, and they'll beat Virginia. That puts them at 6 wins, and then the 2 losses at Clemson and Notre Dame. Then they have 4 swing games. NC State, Florida State, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh. Those are 4 games they should lose, but I think they'll win one of those, maybe 2, but I'll say 1, so I'll put them at 7-5 with the possibility of going 8-4. But for Duke football, with the schedule like that, if they finish 7-5 or 8-4, it's a pretty doggone good football season. I'm a huge fan of their head coach. I think Mike Elko is an amazing coach. It's sad that it's took him this long to get a head coaching job, but I think he's going to be really successful if he stays there. He may do what previous coaches have done and go to Duke and turn them around and start winning and then leave. But if not, he's going to have a long winning career at Duke because the man can flat out coach. So that's my prediction on Duke. And then I have one comment about college football. And maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But I don't like the feeling and the talk going on right now in Ann Arbor. I know Michigan is still highly ranked. But there's just so much turmoil going on behind the scenes right now that the closer it gets to the season starting, the more I feel like it's going to affect them. We know Jim Harbaugh's been suspended, but it's the first 3 games of the year against 3 elementary teams, so the suspension doesn't matter, but he's basically suspending himself so that the NCAA doesn't step in and suspend him for half a season or 1 season or whatever. But Michigan has made no attempt at all to try to step in and defend him. So it's almost like Michigan is saying, here, somebody please take this guy. We don't want him here anymore. There's a rumor that Jim Harbaugh tried to have the suspension next year because he's going to leave after this year and go to the NFL. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, because there's been a rumor now for at least 5 years that he was going to leave and go to the NFL, and he hasn't done it yet. He's always said that Michigan's his dream job, and now he's there. So I don't know if you would leave your dream job if you have your dream job, but that is a rumor going around. But just the fact that the season is a couple days away, and there's still all this talk about what's going on behind the scenes in Ann Arbor, that I'm just starting to think it's going to affect them. And I don't mean affect them like they're going to be 7-5. That's not happening, too much talent. But I do think it's going to affect them, and I think they're going to lose a couple of games, because when the season's here and you're still doing all this behind the scenes stuff with your head coach, even though they're not going to say it affects them, it affects them. So I just don't like the feeling right now that I'm getting from the fans and the reporters and everything right now in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Any thoughts on this? Please feel free to let me know. Homes for our troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How much does a pirate pay to get his ears pierced? $1 an ear. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.